Alright, hello everybody, hello YouTube. In today's video, I'm gonna talk about my predictions for the qualifiers in Nili's Apartment Cup 3, a $25,000 tournament played on Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition in early January. As you can see on the screen, we'll have 16 players going on for the qualifiers, and as far as I know, it's gonna be one player getting into the main event. If visa issues actually happen, that might be two, but that is undecided just yet. So basically, we'll take a look at what results I expect from these players over here. Starting off with the round of 16s, it's gonna be the first seed Dogao versus a guy named Zhuo. Now, Zhuo is a decent wobbly player, does have around 400 games in 1v1s with a 1.9k rating, but he wasn't that super impressive throughout his entire career, so he doesn't have any major professional experience, and he's facing one of the best players in the world with Dogao. Unfortunately for him, this is going to be probably a very easy sweep for Dogao. I'm just going to say 3-0 for Dogao because, like I said, Dogao is one of the best players in the world and he's facing probably above average player at best. Now, the second matchup is much more interesting. Seed number 8, Vodka L versus Cloud. Cloud, the best Taiwanese player out there. He has been very active in semi-pro tournaments like Aspiring Experts, Doubles Age, and he has had some decent results there. He's not classified as one of the best players in the world, but he has had some decent tournament performances in recent times. So yeah, I expect this to be super close. Meanwhile, Vodka has been like a silent creeper in the leaderboards, so he does have decent results right now. In the top 100 of the Definitive Edition, he is at spot number 24 with 84 victories, and wait, that's 84 games, and 53 victories for a win rate of 63%. Meanwhile, Cloud is right now the 15th on the leaderboard of Definitive Edition, but I still believe that this is going to be taken by Cloud mainly because he has a lot of wobbly tournament experience, and I feel like that is going to be something that he can capitalize on, but I do expect a close matchup, so I'm going to say that this is going to be 3-2 here for Cloud. Next up, a slightly unbalanced matchup here, Viles versus Luca. Luca is a decent Canadian player. He does have some tournament experience as well in low-rated tournaments, but Viles is one of the best players in the world. He has shown that in multiple stages, including ECL as well. So even though Luca is a decent player, and he's quite decently ranked on the leaderboard as well, unfortunately, I think this is going to be fairly one-sided for Viles, and he's going to take it 3-0. That's my prediction for this matchup over here. Winchester versus Feig, that's a very interesting matchup over there. Winchester hasn't really been active in the recent times, especially considering tournament participation, but he always has some funny moments, he always has the skills to beat players out there, so that's going to be super interesting. And same applies for Feig, he hasn't really played in any tournaments in recent times, but both of them are quite high rated in the Definitive Edition leaderboards. Right now, Winchester is number 10 with a 70% win rate out of almost 100 games. For Feig, we do have spot number 68, 81% win rate, but just out of 27 games, so the sample size is somewhat limited. And like I said, I haven't really seen him playing a lot of tournaments in recent times, so I definitely think that this is going to be a close matchup just by judging by the scale. But I believe that Winchester is having the upper hand in this one, so I'm going to give him a 3-2 victory here. Let's see how that turns out. Now, next up, it's going to be Fire versus Yupe, a very interesting matchup with the upcoming player here. Yupe, one of the rising Suomi players. He's still not on the level of the other Suomi players, but slowly he's crawling forward, and he's grinding quite hard to become better in 1v1s, and he has reached a decent level to a point where I think he's in the top 100. Indeed, he's right now number 74 in the Definitive Edition top list with a 57% win rate out of 150 games, so he has a lot of Definitive Edition experience as well. So has played a lot of games, not a lot of tournament experience, especially in the pro scene, so I think that Fire is gonna be able to take this one, especially considering that Fire has been, well, on fire with the Definitive Edition release. Fire right now, 87% win rate in Definitive Edition out of almost 100 games for a top 6 spot right now for him. I think that's the biggest win rate you have. Well, if you actually take into account the large sample size. So Max has like 100%, but Max only played 16 games. Meanwhile, Fire almost 100 games, 87% win rate. That's amazing. So yeah, Fire is in a very good form right now, and I do believe that Fire is gonna be able to win this one, but I think Yupe could surprise him, especially if the conditions are given. So I'm gonna give a 3-1 victory here for Fire, but I feel like a 3-0 is not impossible either. Next up, it's gonna be Pike versus John Slow. Now that's super interesting. John Slow has been practicing insanely hard in the recent times. Like, ever since the first moment he could stream Definitive Edition, he played like tens of hours of Arabia every day on stream. Even though he doesn't have a lot of professional tournament experience, especially in Arabia-like tournaments, because, you know, it's him being an arena player, I still believe that he has grinded super, super hard. And he has a lot of Definitive Edition experience. So he has played, I think, with the press release as well. Right now he is in the 76th spot on the leaderboards. But if you take a look at his game count, he has 234 games. That's by far the most in Definitive Edition right now. If I actually take that listing, well, it's not the most, but right now he has the 5th most games played in Definitive Edition. And of course, he's by far the highest rated amongst the players with such a high amount of games played. So, yep, John Slow has an amazing Definitive Edition experience, and he's fairly high rated as well. However, he's facing Pike, who has been solid, even though he wasn't really showing off his skills in a lot of tournaments in recent times, but he's a Suomi member. I think Suomi players will also help him with a bit of advice. So I do expect Pike to win this, but I think this could be by a narrow margin. And in fact, I believe that this is one of the matchups that could be decided by some bad map generation or some early mistakes, like a board killing a villager or so. So this is a matchup to look out for. But for now, I'm just gonna say that Pike is gonna win this 3-1. Lan versus Kogo, again, a slightly unbalanced matchup here in the first round, seed number 3 against seed number 14. Lan has been outstanding with Definitive Edition. He right now obtains the spot of number 4 on the Definitive Edition leaderboards. He's got 80% win rate. Meanwhile, Skogo, he has been a decent player in Wobbly, so he's a fairly experienced player, has a decent amount of tournament experience in intermediate tournaments, but we are talking about one of the best Definitive Edition players right now, so I think that Lan is going to be able to easily take this from Skogo with a 3-0 victory. Maybe if Skogo gets proper conditions, like a very good map, some luck as well, and Lan has a bad day, maybe Skogo can take 1, maybe even 2 games. But I think if Lan plays his best, then Skogo doesn't really have a chance in this matchup. Now, Daniel versus Dragon T, that's one of the other matches I wanted to highlight. So there is some close matches in the first round, like I think Winchester versus Fig is going to be that one, Cloud versus Vodka, and Daniel versus Dragon T is going to be super close, I believe. Now, Dragon doesn't really have a lot of tournament experience, I think, in Wobbly, but he has played in some intermediate tournaments. But right now, he's almost top 50 in Definitive Edition. Meanwhile, on your side, Daniel is always questionable for me. Sometimes he has very, very good games, sometimes he has some bad games. So it really could be decided by the current form of the players. But I believe that Daniel slightly has a bit more experience in high-level tournaments than Dragon, so I'm just gonna say that Daniel is gonna take this 3-2. But this is definitely a spot where Dragon could surprise Daniel, especially if Daniel plays poorly compared to his level. I think if Daniel plays on the highest level he can play, he should be able to take this one probably 3-1 or so. Anyways, this is the round of 16s, and we will progress to the round of 8s. Dogao versus Cloud in the first game. And as much as I like Cloud, and still, he's one of the best Taiwanese players. In fact, he is the best Taiwanese player I know, and I really like the guy. I think Dogao is just far better than him right now, so maybe Cloud can take 1 game against Dogao or so. If Dogao plays very poorly, then maybe 2. But I don't think that Cloud is going to be able to beat Dogao. That would be a big, big upset if that would happen. But I think Dogao is going to take this 3-1 here, but this could be 3-0 as well, depending on the conditions of the players. Since the map pool has some weird map generation sometimes, I feel like some unbalanced maps could definitely favor some low-rated players or weaker players. This is why it's quite hard to kind of make up my mind on the margin of victory for the winners. But I think 3-1 or Dogao versus Cloud is a fairly decent approximation. Anyways, Vilas versus Winchester, now that's a very interesting matchup. Again, Winchester is a bit of a mystery to me, and Vilas has been playing very, very well. This could go either way to basically any result. If Winchester plays a bit poorly, I think Vilas can easily take this 3-0 as well. But I don't also think that Winchester does have the tools to surprise Vilas over here. So overall, I wouldn't be surprised by basically any result here. But I feel like Vilas slightly has a bit more tournament experience. He can remain calm in pressure. So I think that Vilas will be able to take this one for 3-2 result. Fire versus Pike, another interesting matchup. Pike, like I said, not a lot of tournaments he actively played in. Fire, on the other side, he has been super, super active. So, yep, not a lot to say about this matchup, I believe. Fire has been amazing with Definitive Edition, and I generally think that Fire is going to have the upper hand in this matchup. Pike, if he plays his best, I think he can make this close, maybe even win it. But I would definitely think that it is Fire who has the upper hand in this matchup. So I will just give him 3-2 victory over here over Pike. But like I said, if Pike gets good conditions with the map generation, has a bit of a luck, manages to pick off an early villager or so. So if Fire makes some mistakes and Pike plays his best, I think Pike also has the chance to take this victory. But for now, I'm just gonna predict Fire in this matchup. And finally, in the round of 8, we have Lan versus Daniel. Now again, this is tricky. The problem for Daniel is that Lan has been outstanding with Definitive Edition. Again, he's top 4 in the leaderboard right now, one of the best win rates in the game. A lot of games plays as well, so he has gotten a very good grasp of how Definitive Edition is played out. He wasn't really outstanding in expert tournaments in previous like Woobly times, but this could be his time to mark. Anyways, I'm just gonna give 3-1 here for Lan. I'm fairly certain that Daniel is not gonna lose 3-0 here, so Daniel's a better player than that. And I think Lan also sometimes make a bit of a mistakes, but like I said, Lan has been playing very, very well in Definitive Edition, so I will say that he's gonna have that series. So, semifinals coming up, Dogao versus Vilas. Now this makes me think quite a bit. This again could go either way depending on the map generation, the civilization decisions the players make, some unlucky circumstances like village lost early on or so. But I feel like Dogao is in a bit better shape than Vilas. Overall, I feel like in a 1v1s, Dogao is better than Suomi players. Maybe not better than Max, but I feel like Dogao is a bit better than Vilas. Suomi is amazing as a team, and I'm a big Suomi fan, so don't say that I'm being mean on Suomi players, but I feel like they operate amazing as a team, but in 1v1s there is some players who are better than them, and I think Dogao is one of them. So Dogao will most likely beat Vilas over here according to my predictions, but it's gonna be close because Vilas is an amazing player, so I'm just gonna give a 3-2 victory here for Dogao. For the other semifinals, we will have a Fire versus Lan. That's a very interesting matchup over here. I feel like, again, that could go both directions, and this is why the semifinals will be super, super close. Right now, top 4 player against the top 6 player, that is super close. But I feel like Lan might be having a slight advantage over here. Again, this is insanely hard to decide, and this could really go down to map generation and some very unlucky circumstances, or maybe even one player playing tired or so. So this could go either way. Of course, I expect a super, super close matchup over here. For my predictions, I decided to give this victory to Lan in a 3-2 manner, but I wouldn't be surprised if Fire is victorious in this one either. So yeah, this could go basically any result. My prediction is that Lan will be able to outlast Fire in this one, but like I said, Fire does have every chance to win this game as well. And finally, for the finals of the qualifiers, Dogao versus Lan, 2 Heresy players facing off against each other here. Again, this is gonna be super, super close according to my predictions, and I have a strong feeling that Lan might be able to surprise Dogao over here. Normally, if this was Woobly, I would say this is Dogao-sided, but Lan has been so outstanding with Definitive Edition that I feel like he's gonna be able to surprise a lot of people and earn his way into NAC3. right in Hamburg played starting the 4th of January, $25,000 prize pool, sponsored by Microsoft and Nili and some contributors. Nili will stream it on his channel, by the way. So be sure to check out Nili's channel, twitch.tv/Nili_AOE, as you can see on the right side of the screen as well. It's gonna be amazing with a bunch of expert players and casters, and I really hope it's gonna be a super fun tournament to watch. And yep, by the way, those who miss out on the chance to qualify for NAC3 will also receive some kind of prize pool, like there is $300 for the second place player and $100 for the semi-finalists each. So there is a little bit of a prize pool as well. So these are my predictions. Hopefully I'm gonna be correct. There is a lot of question marks here, starting with Vilas versus Winchester most likely, but Daniel versus Draconti is also somewhat questionable. Fire versus Pike could go either way. Fire versus Lan and the other semi-final can go either way as well. So a lot of question marks, and I think this might be the moment when one of the somewhat underrated players can make their mark. Since visa issues kind of limit the amount of people who could sign up for the qualifiers, since they need to receive a visa or be able to go to Germany without a visa. By the time the tournament is played, a fairly limited amount of people could sign up for the main event. And that means that people like Dogao and Lan and Fire, and maybe even Vilas, who had been somewhat underrated in 1v1 tournaments, so people never really considered them, let's say, a top 8 1v1 player in the world, could really show that, hey, we are here as well, and we want to win a big prize here. It could be Lan, it could be Dogao, it could even be Winchester, or Vilas, or Fire, maybe even Daniel, who could get into NAC3, but I guess in a few weeks we'll find out. Hopefully you have enjoyed my expectations on the tournament. In case you did, feel free to share your opinions, your thoughts. Hopefully you have enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.